Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I wanted to go through some of the core tips and tricks and demeanor and vibe and everything that you should be embracing to be the best shot caller and war general that you should be when it comes to New World and essentially what is the end game content, which is the PvP war between factions and territory control. Let's go ahead and hop into it. All right, so first things first, I want to lead off with shot calling in this game and in others, but just shot calling in this game in particular is my passion. I love doing it. Until literally yesterday, I was undefeated whenever I shot called in over 10 wars just since the beta. I love doing it. I love the coordination, and I still say that I shouldn't have lost the war yesterday because go watch that video. You'll see. Links there. I have a lot of passion for this, and I see a lot of folks struggling with how to effectively lead their armies in war, and a lot of it has to do not just with experience, obviously that comes with time, but a lot of the things that they're doing. Too many chefs in the kitchen. You have too many people making calls, not a clear sense of leadership, and then also just how these calls are being made. So that's actually my first point here that I wanted to go over is if you are a shot caller in war, you need to make it clear that your calls are what say goes, whether offense or defense. That's not saying that you shouldn't have communication with like lieutenants or other squad leaders in the war, but there needs to be one person directing the army whichever way that it needs to go, offense or defense. So that way there isn't a large broken up and everybody's coordinated and make sure that they know what they are doing. So that would be my first thing. Don't have wars are lost when you have 17 different people throwing out ideas of what should be done and shouldn't be done. If somebody else has an idea for next time, that's when you analyze it afterwards and make sure that you employ it next time and go from there and let other folks have the chance to shot call. Next, probably the biggest thing overall, personally, for a shot caller is you have to keep calm. Now, what I mean by that isn't that you can't get excited, you can't have feelings for taking a point like, yeah, we got this, let's go, like pushing up, like you can get excited. What I mean by keeping calm is you have to be that pillar of leadership and vibe for your army, whether winning or losing, that they can feed off of. You need to make sure that you are the rock there, that when things go wrong, and at some point they will, one of the wars that you're in and you're shot calling, at some point they will, you cannot shut down. You have to be able to push through and keep the comms moving forward, the strats moving forward that you devised. Do not freeze up. There's always something that can be done in war. Wars can be won or lost in 5 minutes, in 3 minutes. I've seen it done. Do not freeze up. Do not shut down. This, like I said, is one of those big things that comes with time and getting used to being in that high pressure environment. But your army is looking to you to be that rock. And this is going to be vital to the long-term success against enemy shot callers that are just as good, if not better, than you are. And they are going to try and kill your morale and get you to shut down and take away all of your positions. And you need to be ready for that mentally and physically, because shot calling is draining. It is tiring. I've shot called 4 wars now in 3 days, and I am mentally exhausted. It is a lot. So you have to be that rock. You have to be that pillar for your army that can feed off of that. And that's how you're going to be able to win. It takes practice. You'll get there, I promise. Just as long as you know freezing is not and shutting down is not the way to win wars. And this is something that I do if I notice that I am partaking in a war with other shot callers, things like that. If I notice that the shot caller is breaking down mentally and that they've lost, I will step up, and I have stepped up before and filled that role, because you have to be solid in that position. Then I apologize to them afterwards, but there comes a time when decision and the pillar needs to be made for how things are getting done. Moving right along. Next, I want to go over very quickly to make sure you know how war works. And obviously, you're clearing points on attack and trying to get into the fort and kind of a king of the hill point control type of environment. But more specifically, you need to understand that what matters when taking points is who has more bodies on the point. It doesn't matter if you have on defense, everybody is there and doing a lot of damage to the bodies on the point, but if there is none of your actual team on point, then offense is going to cap it very, very fast. So you have to pay attention to what the bodies are on point. So you'll hear that me, if you watch my videos, call that out quite a bit. Like if things start to go bad on defense or on offense, if you're trying to push, there's a time when healers, life staff users, fire staff users, everybody, you push and you get on the point because it matters who has more bodies alive on the point itself. That's where AoE heals are clutch. But this is also where, if you think about it, offense has a huge advantage. They have 50 people that can flex and rotate to wherever they want. Defense does not. A lot of times on defense, you're going to have a 5 or 10 man siege team. You're going to have people kind of anchoring, maybe even a little bit in forests or on other sites looking for that flank. So offense is, for the initial part of war, definitely it is in their favor, and in my opinion, easier for offense because you have 50 bodies that you can pile on point, or even 30 bodies that you can pile on point. That should be more than the defense number. So in my opinion, defense is a lot harder to be successful at because of the core way that war works. Moving right along, whether you're on attack or defense, have a plan, have a strategy. And what I mean by that is strategies are not, we're going to pile on point and push them off. That's not a strategy. That's just the core mechanic that we just talked about of how war works. I'm talking about making sure that if you're on offense, you have an idea of, okay, we're going to push this point first, then rotate over here. This musket team is focusing firing, the siege weapons. Our siege weapons are ready to go down. Our siege team, they know who they are. They're ready to place down the siege, pick it back up, move it, etc. Having that ready to go, that's what I mean by strategy. Have those ready. If you're on defense, the same thing can apply for having strategy. Obviously, defense, you have to try and prepare yourself for every possible outcome and every possible thing that offense can throw at you. But this is where using your siege effectively comes into play in the strategy wise. Have an idea of strats that offenses have been using on your server or in general, and know the more common types of them and how best to counter them. I am very proud of my defense, and this is what I do, in that I think of what I would do on offense or what's working on offense and how do I beat that. You have to think outside ahead of time on defense. Think, how do you beat and how are you going to counter what they throw at you? And that's what I mean by strategizing. But making sure your siege weapons are in places that you can actually utilize them effectively is key. The number of times I have seen a cannon on the far side of point A or C that's pointing out into nothing drives me nuts, because that exact spot is a perfect place to have a war horn for your army to push back on and get that 10 seconds or 8 seconds of pure health and fortification and pure regen to sway the tide of battle. So that is a perfect place for a war horn. The cannon isn't doing anything over on that side. It's looking out at the ocean. If you're on first light, it's literally looking out into the edge of nothingness. So having effective placement of siege and knowing what they can and can't do from each location is vital in the strategizing department for defense. A little bit more on offense. Like I said, piling on point is, at some point what you're going to have to do. But for strategizing wise, and that you want to make sure that your teams are coordinating and know what they're supposed to be doing role wise. Every exact soldier doesn't need to know the full strategy beforehand the war. It definitely helps if your lieutenants and squad leaders do. But making sure that they know where they're supposed to be in battle is key. Be talking with your musket team, so that way they're taking down siege that's a problem, and if they're the defensive siege is there, making sure that they're getting rid of that. Your siege team on your side is coordinating correctly. Your shield bearers are pushing up on the front lines and holding their shields up. Make sure that they're pretty much just holding right mouse button. They're not left clicking at all. That kind of thing. Coordinating fire on siege, etc. That kind of leads into my next big thing, which is very important for shot calling, which is communication. Communication, communication, communication. Having clear and effective comms in war is vital, both from yourself and from your army. On the shot caller side, this is partially something that just comes with time and getting more used to it and how to relay your orders in an effective manner. And what tones you need to use. But on the side of the army, and what you need to make clear to them is that what is acceptable comms. Having comms flooded with, I'm knocked, I'm dead, this person's one shot, that's bullshit, I should have had him, all that stuff that we're used to hearing in multiplayer lobbies, that kind of thing, that is not acceptable communications during a war effort. And I always like to kind of make sure that I'm like clear comms, and I make sure I put that down really quick when it comes to that and people talking like that. And normally a lot of people pick up on it, but I do have always one of my lieutenants ready to tab back over into Discord and mute anybody who is talking and has a problem. So that way I don't have to focus on it, but I'll literally call out to my lieutenant, hey, mute so-and-so. And they'll, that one person for that 1 second, it takes them 10 seconds to mute them and keeps them from talking and distracting the whole rest of the army. And that will definitely make the comm side of things a lot better. Going back to the shot caller side of it, you should be communicating frequently to keep the information, railway, whatever you want to call it, active and passing along your thoughts. But make sure you're not talking just to talk as well. The clear and effective comms work, applies to you while you're shot calling as well. Repeating key information about where people need to be. Make sure that you're communicating, hey, all right, they're pushing C, flex team rotate C, siege, make sure that you're on C. Cannons, make sure that we're focused C. Repeaters that are on B, cut them off at the pass. A side, how is A? Is there anybody coming from A side? Do we have flank? Forest team, their siege is going up. Let's get back there. Let's take that down. Those are all kinds of things that, yes, it seems like I just pulled that off the top of my head, but that is a serious style of what comms could be during a war. And that's what I mean by effective comms. Make sure that you're talking and you're going through with things, but make sure that it still is vital communication from you as well. Next, don't get cocky and don't lose hope. A lot can happen in a short time in war. 30 minutes is a long, long time and is mentally draining. Until that timer ticks to 0, you as war leader needs to be focused. You need to be doing whatever you can to keep your army's morale up, yourself in the game, whether it's attack or defense. You need to be there, and like I said earlier, be that rock from your army. If you're defending, don't let your army get complacent at the 15-minute mark because they haven't taken a point yet. I have seen wars lost in 3 minutes. Make sure everybody knows their roles. They don't start spreading out and making stupid mistakes. And then as the war goes on, respawn timers get higher because of the number of deaths. And that can snowball into a very bad thing for defense. The other side of that, on offense, if you are attacking, obviously, if things are going great, they're going to keep going great. You're going to keep pushing and things like that. But if things aren't going great and you're at the 10-minute mark, you need to not lose hope. You need to, like I said earlier, you need to not shut down. You still have to, maybe try something new. Maybe try a slightly different strat that you weren't expecting to employ. But either way, it's your job to keep everyone on your army pushing forward and being that pillar of focus. Don't let them lose focus. You have to be that rock. Don't also let them just charge into battle one by one. Take that 30 seconds to fall back to your fort, regroup, buy haste potions, buy your artillery, regroup on what your plan is going to be, and then push out. That is a lot better than just mindlessly charging into cannon fire over and over, one by one. If you have to fall back and regroup as an army and get your mind in order and strats wise, and if you are overwhelmed, that's the point as a shot caller to be like, ask your lieutenants, what should we do? What do you think we should do? And you could have that 30-second in war meeting of just with your lieutenants, not the whole army. This is not a open debate kind of thing, but hey, what do you think we should do? A lieutenant has a good idea. Let's split A, B. And we need to get down those cannons in between there. Their repeaters are killing us with single shot fire. Okay, cool. Decided. Then you build off of that, and it goes right just back into you being shot caller. But you have to not lose hope. Like I said, a lot can happen in a very short amount of time. I've seen wars lost in the last 3 minutes with no points having been taken before that. Also, if you this is kind of with the don't get cocky or lose hope thing, but if you're on defense, this applies kind of a little bit for that. If you are losing point C, there comes a time, just like I was saying, like the regroup mechanic for on offense. If you know that group point C is lost, if it is 2/3 of the way done, a lot of your folks are dead, like you're on respawn timers, like you'll know when a point is lost. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it is better to call the retreat, get everybody back in your fort, get them their health pots, or just call the retreat for your folks just to then pile and move towards B. Let them finish taking C and move back to B. So that way your squad isn't in death timers, like in Q, like waiting to respawn, like the respawn timers, like that has an effect. So falling back, regrouping on a point that you can actually defend at full strength is better than trying to hold on something that isn't there. You have to think big picture. That's pretty much it. Those are the core principles that you need to kind of keep in mind for shot calling. I tried to stay away from specific strategies as I want you all to focus on becoming just confident, better shot callers by itself and devise your own strategies. That's a lot of fun in New World is figuring out new ways and new strats on how to counter and beat siege or how to counter strong offenses, etc. This is what is the focus of the in-game content right now, so I'm really excited to look forward and see a lot of different strategies coming out from you guys as shot callers and seeing what you have in mind and come up with. And it's going to be really exciting. If you all want some specific strategy videos, I might be inclined to make a few. Just let me know in the comments below what you guys are thinking. It's like, hey, yeah, K-Dog, we want to know what your strats are, what you're using, besides just what we see after the fact in the war videos. We want a glimpse into your mind. My only caveat, you guys can't use them against me in the war. That's the only thing. But I will make the videos if you want. Just let me know. Just nobody's allowed to use it against me. Nobody's allowed to use my own strats against me. No, I am perfectly aware. I would love to see that. I would love you all to incorporate any of the strategies that I make or that you see me using in your own wars. So thank you. Good luck in your wars, fellow shot callers, generals. If you have any questions on anything, definitely reach out. I am more than happy to help. I will see you all in Eternum. Later.